Hi everyone, welcome to this new video. I'm Vario Wallaby and I'm gonna be your host for today's video. We're gonna take a look at Delta Force, a game which is currently in beta phase. So it's an open beta. It's available on Steam. You can play it right now, and it's very similar to Battlefield in my opinion. As a former Battlefield player and veteran, we're gonna have a look at some IFV gameplay. Let's see what we have today. So, I had already heard of that game Delta Force for quite a while at that point. Uh, Many people have been saying, oh, it's very similar to Battlefield, like a mix of Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 2042, and I had seen some videos. And you know what I gotta say? Those people are right. I've also seen people arguing on Reddit about this not being like Battlefield at all, but I am not going to argue that much. I'm just gonna let you guys take a look at my gameplay and you're gonna see for yourself. So, as it turns out, I am a former Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 player, though I actually started with Battlefield 2 way back in the day. But in Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, I was what you would call a tank whore. Yes. I played mostly in the main battle tanks, or MBTs for short. I also played some IFV and maybe some mobile AA, and in Battlefield 4 I also did some attack helicopter gameplay, mostly as a gunner, though I could also fly, I guess, decently enough. Anyway, this game has the same formula as the good old Battlefield formula, which is a mix of infantry and vehicle gameplay mixed together. We have obviously infantry players. You can see right now those players are down. You can see down players here and there, and there's exactly the same logo, like the same defibrillator logo that we could find in BF3 and BF4. Probably the same as in BF 2042, I guess. I haven't played it that much, only a little bit. So there's most of the same vehicles, MBTs, LA IFVs, and mobile AAs. There's also tank destroyers, which is very reminiscent of Battlefield 3. I think it was called Armored Kill. It was a DLC that introduced tank destroyers. Very interesting gameplay. There's attack helicopters, there's scout helicopters. Both of them are equipped with rocket pods, which means that scout helicopters can actually be a great danger to your tank crew. However, there were no fighter jets or attack jets thus far. There may be in the future, in future maps, in future updates. I don't know. This game is still in beta phase right now, but so far that is just not the case. So today we are playing in the LAV, which is an infantry fighting vehicle equipped with a repeating HE cannon, which means high explosive cannon, which can hold up to 12 rounds, which you can shoot all at once, but you better not, because when you do, then you have to wait until they reload, and as you can see, they are reloading pretty slowly, which means if you use all of them at once, then you might actually be in a pinch when you get attacked from the side or from the rear and you don't have any ammo left. So you have to use your ammo responsibly. It's unlimited, it will just keep reloading forever, but you have to wait for the reload timer, so you better not waste it. There's also a bunch of perks which may be unlocked, which again in my opinion are very similar to Battlefield 4, probably 2042 as well, but basically the IFVs come with the repeating HE cannon, but you can actually change it to a canister shell instead, which is very reminiscent of Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, where you also had the option to use canister shells. I remember Battlefield 3 had that as an option, as a secondary weapon on the tank, and I think Battlefield 4 also had that. So here it's an option for the IFV. You can have canister shells, but it's a main weapon as far as I'm aware. For secondary weapons, you have missiles, you have a missile system, and you also have tow missiles. Tow missiles are basically wire-guided missiles, where you have to aim the missile manually with your mouse. This was very, very popular in Battlefield 4, with many people making like tow montages and stuff like that, of them like shooting down helicopters and jets or other vehicles across the map with the tow missile, which actually required quite a lot of skill to use properly. So this is back, and it works pretty much the same as in Battlefield. So you can expect people to start making the same kind of videos again, like the good old tow montage. Nice. So tanks also have main battle tanks. If we're going to talk about main battle tanks a little bit, they have also some of the same perks. You start with AP shells, just like in BF4. You have the option to unlock HE shells and APFSDST shells, just like in BF4. Oh, what a surprise. And then for the secondary, you start with the LMG. And you have an option to unlock the HMG heavy machine gun, just like in, you guessed it, BF4. Yeah. And wait, it doesn't stop there. Oh no, because you start with a smoke screen, just like in BF4. That's your main countermeasure. But you can actually unlock active protection. Active protection was originally introduced in BF4. No shit, really? Yeah, so what active protection does is that, well, it's basically some kind of laser system on top of your tank or IFV, which you can activate whenever you are targeted by missiles or rockets or enemy tank shells or anything like that. And for a short time, which I don't remember exactly how long it was, probably not more than 2 seconds if memory serves, you will be immune to that kind of damage. Basically, any rocket or missile or tank shell that hits you will get deflected and you won't take any damage. And guess what? That's a system that actually exists, but it's mostly a prototype thingy as far as I'm aware. And it's also in Delta Force, after being introduced in Battlefield 4. Oh, wow. Yeah, so far this was actually my first IFV round in Delta Force, like actual first IFV round on this map called Cracked. So I didn't have a tow missile yet. I was still using the guided missile system, which I didn't use because it's garbage. But anyway, so I just used my main repeating HE gun, and that was it worked. You know, that worked. This map. Let's talk about the maps a little bit. This map, Cracked, as far as I'm aware, if I'm not mistaken, is actually a remake of an original Delta Force map from the first Delta Force game, which dates back to 1998, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. But the way I see it is that it's a good mix of close quarter infantry combat and more open grounds, let's say. Kind of like, it kind of reminds me of Propaganda from Battlefield 4 and Grand Bazaar from Battlefield 3, because there's a lot of choke points and a lot of tight corners and close quarter engagements, which can be had at many different spots around the map. But at the same time, there's also some more open areas where you can have tank fights and where you can have, well, I would say engagements taking place at a longer distance. Yeah, it's a pretty good map. I like it. Unfortunately, so far I've played quite a number of games. I haven't been able to play on this map again as of now, because as of now, unless I haven't found the feature yet, I don't think that feature exists yet. You cannot actually choose what map you want to play on. You can only play matchmaking, meaning you will get, well, you'll get a random map. And so far I've been getting mostly the same 3 maps, which is not this one, unfortunately. So hopefully, I hope that in the future they introduce some kind of, I'm not saying they should introduce a server browser and third-party servers. That would be way too good to be true, because if that were the case, then I would probably only ever play that game for the next years to come. The next few years to come, I'd probably be like a 24/7 Delta Force player if that were the case, but I'm not getting my hopes up. What I would hope for, at least, would be some kind of map filter where you can choose which maps you want to play and which maps you don't want to play before going into matchmaking. That would be nice. Because there's one, I'm not a very big infantry player, honestly. It's just not my thing. I'm not very good at it, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a vehicle driver, I'm a tank whore, okay? I shoot infantry players from the comfort of my armored vehicle because I have no balls. That's what many infantry players would say. At least that's what they said back in the good old BF4 days. Oh, such nostalgia. Oh well. So, what was I saying again? Oh yeah, server browser and stuff. So, as far as I'm concerned, I just don't play infantry that much. It's not my thing. I don't care much for it. And there's that map that regularly comes back in my map rotation, which is called Shafted. And Shafted is basically Operation Locker from Battlefield 4. Well, that's becoming a recurring theme, I think. It's full of choke points, just like Operation Locker. One thing that it doesn't have, unlike Operation Locker though, is good flank routes, which is also why I don't like it. It's a clusterfuck of grenade spammers and smoke grenades and people shooting blindly into the smoke. It's garbage, honestly, and you can't really flank. So not all the maps are good. Some people might love it, just like many people loved Locker and Metro. I don't. Okay, so I wish I could just eject it from my map rotation and never ever have to play that map again. What I typically do is I will leave the match as soon as I see that it's shafted, but it's a bit of a waste of time. So if I could just get it out of my map rotation and never have to play it ever again, that would be pretty cool. That would be grand. Hopefully this will be done, because this game is still in development. It's not perfect. It's still it's just in beta phase. It's an open beta, and it's going to remain that way until the game fully releases. It's constantly getting updated, so hopefully we're going to have some of those missing features. That would be very nice. There are definitely some things that are missing, and some people are going to disagree with me here, but I got to say one thing I'm missing is I would say the social part of battle log. Okay, the social part in this game is very tiny. There's like some kind of open chat in the main lobby where you have people that you don't even know talking to each other, usually talking shit to each other. That's absolutely useless, serves no actual purpose, honestly. What would be nice would be to have, well, there is already a profile system with stats, so the game actually tracks your stats from like your kills, your deaths, your score per minute, your kills per minute. It doesn't actually show your KD ratio, which I think is probably not that bad. That means you don't have to care about your KD ratio that much, but it does actually track your statistics anyway. What I would like it to have is some kind of platoon system like Battlefield 4, platoon or clubs or teams or whatever you want to call it, where you could make clubs with your friends and play together and squad up more easily, join games together, maybe have like clan wars or PCWs or other competitive matches. Because honestly, I think this game being a free-to-play first-person shooter, the way this is going, I think this would actually be a pretty good competitive game in the future, and hopefully not just 5v5 infantry. Please, for the love of all things good in this world, please, no, not 5v5 infantry. This is a game which is like Battlefield. It's got to be something like 8v8 or 12v12 or something like that, with infantry and vehicles, just like the good old days. I would love to see that. But for now, it's only just wishful thinking. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about game performance and graphics. So this game actually runs on Unreal Engine 4, which is quite a bit outdated at this point. It's almost 2025. It's probably going to be 2025 by the time I can be bothered to release this video. So yeah. It's dated. The graphics are not bad. Look at that. I mean, it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look half bad, but it doesn't actually look any better than Battlefield 4, which was released in 2013, so a grand 12 years ago. So this game actually looks about the same as a 12-year-old AAA game. Well, that being said, if there is one good thing about having outdated graphics is that it can run on a potato. Okay, right now I'm running the game maxed out, ultra settings, 1440p, no ray tracing, because ray tracing in a multiplayer game like this, in a multiplayer FPS, is absolutely stupid. You don't actually have time to look at reflections, and it's gonna kill your performance for really not much. It ain't gonna do much apart from making your FPS drop by at least 30%. Well, I'm pulling the numbers out of my ass, but we know how ray tracing works. So no ray tracing, but everything else is on ultra 1440p, and I'm getting about 100 FPS on average. I think it goes down to about 90 at times, and it goes up to about 115 at times, but it's around 100 or 105 on average. So it's not exactly a high refresh rate experience. I'm using a 144 Hz monitor, but I'm running it at 60 Hz because I'm completely stupid, obviously. Yeah, no, it's because I actually play a lot of single-player titles like Cyberpunk, Red Dead Redemption 2, Mass Effect, where I want to prioritize the graphics and the overall cinematic experience over high refresh rates. Obviously, I don't care. I really don't care for high refresh rates in single-player games. And this game, since I play in armored vehicles, I don't actually see the point of having a high refresh rate experience when I'm playing in the tank or the IFV. So this is absolutely fine. However, if you want to have a high refresh rate experience, you can always drop the settings down a little bit. You can drop them down a notch, down to something like high, or maybe you can use some DLSS or FSR, because I am not using any form of well, DLSS technology or anything like that. Okay, it's running at native res, which means the performance is pretty good. Personally, I would rather have slightly lower FPS and run the game at native res rather than using any form of upscaling technology. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you very much. I got the right term. Wonderful. Because in my experience, running DLSS, even these days, while it does increase performance quite a bit, it also well, it doesn't impact image quality that bad these days, especially if you're only running like DLSS quality, but it's just not as sharp. And I would rather have a sharp looking game than a game that runs at 200 FPS. That's just me. But overall, even a potato computer these days can run Delta Force in multiplayer. So you have no excuse not to play it. You can download it right now on Steam. I got 52-0. I went on a 52 kill streak in the IFV for my first ever IFV game, and my first ever round on this map, Cracked, which I like it a lot. And I will see you all in the next one. So for now, thanks for watching. See ya.